So, the thing about science is, you know, I love it. I mean, we all kind of, I mean, most of us got kind of a feeling about some respect for science. I think the thing we all love about it is that, you know, it's absolutely based on truth or it's worthless, okay? I mean, it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what the scientists at NOAA thinks. It doesn't matter what the Army thinks. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. I almost said God, but I didn't want to go there. It might get too many people up in arms. But, you know, so what we, it's got to be on board with the truth, or you're going to get different results. You're not going to get, of course, now people have been prejudiced about it. You know, they've been absolutely convinced that things that were heavier fell faster than things that were lighter. You know, even though they were both dense, like a great big steel ball and a small steel ball, even though they pretty much fall the same way, because the amount of air friction is negligibly different compared to the forces, and they fall at the same speed. But, you know, they were watching feathers and they knew they, you know, so they were absolutely convinced that it didn't. Who was it? Edison was absolutely convinced when Tesla came along that direct current was superior to alternating current. The alternating current was dangerous, and Tesla proved otherwise, and it proved to be the thing that would work best over long distances in wires, and it was implemented, and it made things work. You know, so what it is that scientific truth opens up new ways and understanding to do the previously impossible or unseeable. And it doesn't really matter what, as I said, what anybody thinks. So basically, who am I? Maybe let me try to establish what credibility I can. Hey, you know, I'm not trained as a scientist should be in this stuff, but in high school, hey, I was good in physics. I love science. I had quite a capacity. I went into physics where we had a guy named Bill Grieve, the best physics teacher that you ever wanted. He made us derive our formulas from previous ones on forces like, you know, F equals ma to mv for momentum and you know, kinetic energy, etc., things where we really had, I would say, a college level course in high school. And I did have some merit with that. I went in with a year less math, was a year behind the rest of the students in my class, and yet out of 2 classes I became one of the 3 top physics students. I was the one that Mr. Grieve took when we did our field trips along with another guy. And I did my paper in physics in high school on the laser. And as a senior, when I had to kind of regress to chemistry, honors chemistry, and that's how I felt about it, because I like physics so much. He took me over to Richmond along with the other guy. We did acoustical holography in its early infancy, and I did a paper on it. I did understand it, and I don't have the skills honed as they should be in math and sciences. Regrettably, you know, I went a different way, but I did have, you know, and when I first came up with these ideas and I sent them to Al Bedard, Dr. Al Bedard at NOAA, who has worked on tornadoes for, I think it was 20 years, he told me. I really didn't have in mind having to champion this thing or implement this idea. I had in mind only presenting the idea, hopefully somebody's seeing that, hey, surprisingly, wow, it sure seems you know, silly and stupid that we didn't get it before. It's too simple, it couldn't be just that. But once you finally look at it and realize that that is evidently what it is, to go ahead and implement this thing themselves. not me, but unfortunately, because basically he told me that the Army, who is NOAA, decided that these challenges were too great for humans to understand, okay, that we leave them alone for now, and who knows, maybe someday in the future come back and get them, okay? So that's what, and they transferred him to something else, and he follows orders. So he helped me a little bit. Basically, I was totally on my own. He gave me some information about hurricanes and tornadoes, which did help my understanding of what was going on from being at a pretty negligible point when I started. Okay, so I decided that I had to pull it out and take it elsewhere. That was a pretty miserable experience. I went to a guy named Mike Mueller who gave me some good ideas, had a little bit of interest in it, and then just dropped me like a hot potato. I went to the University of Washington, my alma mater. I graduated there in '94 with a Bachelor of Science in Psychology. And I thought maybe I could talk to somebody over there. I was looking for any physics professor that would just hear me out, see this flip chart that I wrote at that time last year, and go over this band stuff, and you know, let me tell them how I saw it, and them help me vouch for this and get some kind of clout to be able to test these ideas. So what I'm asking for here is just scientific backing. You can reach me if you got. I'd love to implement this thing. I need some backers to help me up, or some group of people to help me up, and I just want to test these ideas. Okay, obviously this one here with the hurricane needs to be tested by somebody who's really got, you know, it's got to be some coordination there, as I see it, with probably the Air Force or Navy, somewhere in the government where they can do some of these operations that are pretty big to try. And the tornadoes, on the other hand, don't need near as much. So I mean, I see efforts to try to put these ideas to the test, as small as an excellent biplane pilot, stunt pilot that knows what he's doing with a biplane and can see if they can break up that cold air barrier. If somebody has some pretty big microwave type of heaters or guns, I saw some stuff from Eastland. I don't know whether it was real or not. It was obviously a pasted up scenario where they were shooting at a super tornado and shooting the wrong part, the cold air downdraft, which wouldn't do any good. But I was interested in what they had in terms of that. So Eastland, I'm talking to you right now. Write me at crooks@clearwire.net. Give me some heads up on what you think of these ideas, and if you can help me prove them right or wrong. You know, I need to be there. I can hardly believe it would be wrong. I mean, from my point of view, but yet I would be happy to learn if I was. But I need to know that a trial is done in a proper way to know if there's a trial or not. And believe me, I know if there's a trial, it's gonna work. So if there's a good trial, if we can accomplish the feat, and I'm sure together we can accomplish getting that cold air to come down, hot air to go up, and actually leave us with situations where we don't got the possibility of any bad wind vortexes at all in the areas that we do. Yes, say. What was anything else I was going to say? Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. I had a guy tell me today. I said, you know, if people are already too prejudiced because they know otherwise, or they're thinking something else, to see a new idea and the truth of it, which is essentially quite a bit of what's been going on with this. I mean, even Bedard thought there was multiple ways of getting a wind vortex. When I'm saying no, there's multiple ways of starting them, but there's not multiple things causing tornadoes. And even though I talk about super tornadoes, you talk about F1, F2, F3, F4, whatever they are. You know, you get them from basically a cold front moving over a hot air bubble, or just a hot air bubble heating up, from what I can understand, or you got the supercell situation, but it still boils down to the same thing. Okay, so he said you've got to discredit what they've been thinking is the truth. Okay, and in the case of tornadoes and hurricanes, there's basically nothing to discredit. There is no theory of how they work. Okay, there's pieces of something here and there, but there is no general theory that explains, you know, the whole process of what happens and what makes them run and how they do it. Okay, there is no theory. There is nothing to compete with what I've got in terms of solutions either. I mean, the idea of pumping seawater, I'll read you something here. Bedard wrote me back when I did the model on the hurricane, and he said it was a mess politically and stuff like that. Pretty hard to get anybody to do anything. And he said, I suggest you do a search, hurricane modification. This is July 5th, 2011. Yeah, there have been a pile of approaches suggested as well as tried. These include towing icebergs into the path, dry ice projects, pumping subsurface cold water to the surface. I know Bill Gates got one to pump hot water down, spreading carbon black on the surface, and more. You will also get a feel for the terrible politics involved. The Department of Homeland Security wants to set up a hurricane modification program, but apparently NOAA will not agree to help them. Also, the UN has been and is involved. There are a lot of unanswered questions concerning hurricanes. What causes, they don't know. So, basically, I can't help that. All I can do, hopefully, if I found the right answer. And I feel like I have. If I'm wrong, it's not because I'm doing this in bad faith. I'm doing this because I do believe it. So all I can say is, if you want to fix your tornadoes and your hurricanes, try these things. Just try them. Just quit sitting on our ass. Just quit talking about it, and let's get out there. Maybe if the Army's got enough time between its, it's war games or something, to be doing something. Maybe they could call this a war game or something, and get out there and see if they can bump up and tear down that cold air barrier and let this hot air rise up through it, and the cold air come down. We find out it's cooler out in the swath. I can imagine various formations. I mean, you give it a good try, huh? You try the dolphin kick, you try a unified dive or a unified climb. You have one, you do rows, in that 200-mile swath or something. You do rows with one down low, one up above that in 10-mile separations between maybe 3 or 4 planes, and see if you can push it up that way. You give it the good college try, and you give it your best to see if you can break that up. And you do it when it's not dangerous. You do it when it's not ready by any means to sprout. I've said this how many times, so I don't need to say it again. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking of. If you want to avoid the destruction, I was looking at videos of super hurricanes, the anatomy of a hurricane. Hey, I'm pleased to see that amount of knowledge is increasing, especially in this last year, and some of it gets going toward very close to what I'm presenting, and supports what I'm presenting. I don't see any conflicts with it. Anyway, what can I say? I'm the only one that's presenting to do it this way, the way that it should be easiest, the way it's like pushing, a big boulder off a cliff rather than trying to lift it up from somewhere and set it on a stool, like all the other ideas amount to. Okay, so if I'm right, it's something that should be doable, and it should be, something that's going to help keep us from all the incredible harm that is happening from these creatures. And So look at it, spread this thing, help it go viral. Socially, we can't decide science. Science doesn't decide socially, judicially, legislatively, or any other way. It's only what the truth is. And let's see if we can't give it a try, find out that it's true, and benefit from it. And thank you very much.